Well, I got some breaking news for you tonight about Elon Musk, and you guessed it, Doge. Pay attention to this. The Trump administration has now agreed to temporarily restrict the Department of Government Efficiencies, that's Doge's, access to the Treasury Department payment systems. Isn't this amazing? They've had it for the last few days. There's been outrage. Well, this agreement came in response to a suit accusing the Treasury Department of committing an unlawful action by giving private information to Doge. Meanwhile, earlier today, it was revealed that the Doge is also targeting federal health agencies. The Washington Post reports that the Doge team has visited the Centers for Disease Control and the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services. They also have sought access to payment and contracting systems across the Department of Health and Human Services. My next guest has new reporting from Wired on what exactly they're up to at Treasury. Brian Barrett is executive editor of news for Wired. Brian, you and the Wired team have been working around the clock for the last 2 weeks. Give us the latest. I mean, since last Friday, when we saw the second in command at Treasury resign after decades and decades working there, really over a dust-up, over giving the Doge team access to the payment system. Now suddenly, Trump's limiting it? What's going on?
Well, I think what you're seeing is finally a response to reporting from us and other outlets that are showing the extent of the access this Doge team is gaining and who's gaining it. At Treasury in particular, we reported just the other day, there was a 25-year-old with no government experience who had the ability to actually alter the code of the federal payment system that's responsible for $5.4 trillion of disbursements every year. These are not elected officials. Elon Musk, obviously not an elected official. And the idea that they can just kind of run ranshot over any department they want, get any access they want, seems absurd on its face. And I'm glad that some of the legal mechanisms are kicking in to try to limit that access.
Can you go back to this alter the code point? Because for the last few days, the pushback we've been getting from the administration is that the Doge team only has read-only access. They can't actually impact anything. And if their job, in theory, is to assess where there could be, fraud and waste and places to be more efficient, then they certainly need read-only access. But when you talk about altering code, that doesn't sound like read to me.
Well, our reporting showed that this one employee did have administrative privileges to these systems. That means that you definitionally have an opportunity to alter the system. So we don't know what he did with it, if anything. But the fact that it was even on the table is concerning. One of many concerning things that this administration is doing. I think you look at the idea of putting AI agents into the U.S. government, this sort of tech-forward posturing for all of these systems that are sensitive. They run on very old code. They require a lot of care and maintenance. The idea that you go in and rip it up and start over again from scratch might be how you run a software startup. It's not how you run the U.S. government.
So then tell us about Musk's team, who they are, the accountability, their experience, because one could say, hey, we're bringing in these superstars who know what they're doing, but we don't even know who they are.
In some cases, our work is focused a lot on the sort of younger fleet of engineers. We've got a lot of people between the ages of 19 and 25 who are holding meetings with seasoned civil servants, making them defend their code, making them defend their jobs in some cases. You also have Musk lieutenants at the top, people who are installed at the top of OPM and GSA, who spend a lot of time at either X or XAI or Tesla. So it's really a mix of these sort of young up-and-comers from the Musk universe, and these people who've been with him for several years. It's very similar to when he took over Twitter, and he brought in a lot of people from other companies, brought in some younger talent who like the message that Musk put out about this sort of hardcore approach to coding, which, again, I don't think it's going to map as easily or as well or effectively to something the size of the federal government.
They're too young to rent a car, but they are old enough to force members of our government to defend their jobs and why they should have them. You also are reporting that Elon Musk's sort of takeover is causing rifts within Donald Trump's inner circle. Tell us about it, because just yesterday, the press secretary basically said he's got carte blanche to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, I think he does to some extent have carte blanche. I think that our reporting has shown that there are some people who are close to Donald Trump in the administration who are increasingly wary of that, because I think that they recognize that the government is too big to fail. And even though Elon Musk did a lot to get Donald Trump into office, you don't want Elon Musk to become a liability to his other goals. I think you don't want him to be a distraction. You don't want him to overshine the president, outshine him. So I think there are sometimes there obviously, the more attention that Elon Musk gets, the less attention some of other people in Donald Trump's inner circle get. So there's some self-interest there too. But it is a dynamic that's going to be really interesting to watch in the coming weeks and months.
Brian, stay with us. Philip, defenders of Elon Musk and this effort would say he's just there to shake up the status quo, and no one's had the guts to do that thus far.
Okay. So, I think that Elon Musk has demonstrated over the course of the past several years in particular that he thinks he knows better than everyone else, right? Mm-hmm. And this is what he's doing. He thinks he knows better about Twitter. He also operates on a set of incorrect assumptions. He operated on a set of incorrect assumptions about what was happening at Twitter before he took over Twitter. He's obviously operating on a set of incorrect assumptions about what's happening in the federal government. I think that what we've seen tonight with Donald Trump and the White House pushing back on him really reveals that what Elon Musk is doing, Donald Trump doesn't care about. What he cares about is he cares about the DEI stuff and the Pam Bondi and the getting revenge for January 6th. He cares about that stuff. He doesn't care about Elon Musk.
More than getting revenge for January 6th, getting revenge for those who went after him.
Yes, 100%.
He's done with January 6th.
Yes, that's exactly right. He really doesn't care what Elon Musk is, and I think to Brian's point, as long as Elon Musk is doing what he's doing and not causing problems for Trump, I don't think Trump cares. But now Elon Musk is causing a little bit of trouble, and so now he has to go and say, okay, yes, he's not doing that thing that you guys are currently mad about at the moment. Let's get back to what I want to do.
What do you think? We talked earlier about the markets being the one guardrail for Trump. At some point, are the markets going to say, hold on a minute. You simply can't tear up the government and bring this band of coders in. Like, government has to exist for some reason.
Yeah, but at some point that might happen. I don't see anything going on now that the market is going to react violently to. I think Donald Trump loves this. This is about making the greatest movie of all time starring Donald Trump.
And the richest man in the world.
He has the richest man in the world working for him, doing the grunt work of looking through the finances of the federal government and figuring out how to rebuild its computer systems. I mean, what's better than that in terms of the star being able to have somebody who's his subordinate? And he gets to show occasionally, hey, I'm the guy in charge. I'll pull him back when I need to show something. Let me say something about young people. I was a 20-something on Capitol Hill writing communications laws that established the Cable Act, for which this great cable channel probably wouldn't have existed without that. There are all types of 20-somethings running around Capitol Hill with access to all kinds of information. The fact that these are young hotshots who may be smart is not the problem. The problem is that they shouldn't have any ability to go into systems. They shouldn't have any ability to have access to top secret information without proper security clearances.
It's about unfettered access, not about their age.
And respect for government.
Yes.
Maybe we should ask the banks who lent Elon Musk money to buy Twitter what they think of putting him and his team in charge of the federal government, because it seems to me that they're pretty unhappy with the laws they took.
Those bank loans are now being oversubscribed as the banks try to sell them because Twitter now is on a high, and the banks thought they were going to have to did write those things down, and now they're able to sell them at a profit.
But all of that is being propped up by their own power, not by the legitimate fundamentals of the company or of the platform.
Yes, because that's what the market does. But, hold on, I want to go to Brian, because Brian, I want to share something that Press Secretary Leavitt said earlier today. She was asked about conflict of interest concerns since Elon Musk's companies have tens of billions of government contracts. Watch this.
The president was already asked to answer this question this week, and he said if Elon Musk comes across a conflict of interest with the contracts and the funding that Doge is overseeing, then Elon will excuse himself from those contracts. And he has, again, abided by all applicable laws.
So Elon Musk is going to self-regulate. That's what we're doing here, Brian?
Yeah, I don't think that's really in his DNA. I don't think we've ever seen him do that in any capacity, and there's no reason to expect him to start now. He's going to be able to see
absurd
potentially all of his competitors' contracts, lots of requisition things. The idea that Elon Musk is going to say, you know what, you're right, I shouldn't have a competitive advantage, is absolutely antithetical to everything we know about him. And I think kind of laughable on its face. I think that is, and I think we're only just at the tip of this issue of him being able to see not just competitive business things, but also personal information of people potentially. He has people running the government's IT system and the government's HR system. And anyone who works in any company knows that HR and IT are the people who can see anything they want, anytime they want, and know where all their bodies are buried.
Brian, he also said that DOGE will work to make rapid safety upgrades to the air traffic control system. What can you tell us about that?
You know, I think we're in a world of Elon Musk saying a lot of things about how good his engineers are that can fix anything. I do just think we have to proceed with caution with these things. These systems are old but reliable, and the idea that you can just sort of overnight send in and upgrade the tech and that will solve all of the FAA's problems, I don't think that's right. I think there are upgrades that are necessary, obviously, in a lot of these code bases, but the idea that you can send in some sort of strike team of people in college and suddenly overnight they've figured out something that decades of really dedicated people haven't figured out.
Update, not a college kid update.
I don't really buy it, and it sort of makes me concerned that that's the attitude toward it, that we're just going to fix all the issues with these institutions with a little bit of software.
Tom?
No.
There is one great public benefit of having Elon Musk and his people in there, and that is the internal politic fighting that is going to go on between him and people who have responsibility for these same subjects within the administration. It's already started with White House staff, and it's going to spread. And the good thing about that infighting is infighting causes leaks. And as Phil well knows, when you get somebody who is pissed off about what a rival is doing within the administration, you get good information and good stories out of it. So none of this is going to happen in secret. We're going to have tons of leaks based on all that internal conflict.
But even beyond that, like, think about what's going on in this administration in the last 2 weeks, Sammy. All of it is happening in broad daylight for all the world to see, right? Weeks ago, when journalists were warning, here's what Donald Trump could do, people laughed. They said, you're wringing your hands, you're hysterical. He's going to be focused on his legacy. Everything will be totally normal. Tom is making the point, let all this happen out there in the open, and the American people can say, is this what I voted for?
Maybe. I think that, again, gets us back to this issue of the information ecosystem and what reaches people. But I just want to say something about this FAA with this